Grand Theft Auto and Other Misdemeanors, but don't let the title get you crazy because it's really a fun book. It's by Jennifer Evans Kochalka. She's a Miami girl, just like I am, and so we welcome you to the show now. Of course, you're not in Miami anymore.
That's right. Good morning, Anita. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. And yes, I live in Laguna Beach, California now.
Right. So you left the old hometown, but you certainly you made a lot of living in Miami. You were a little rascal, you.
I was. Oh, my gosh. I'm surprised that my mother is still surviving. She's 87 today. And
oh, how nice.
She survived some of the stories. And, yes, she still lives in the Miami area. So I get to go back and visit my hometown twice a year these days.
Well, you must have really, having a mother from Ecuador and having a daughter like you, it was not really what she knew how to handle, I'll bet. How'd your father? He was Irish, right? Your father was different.
My father, was American, but his parents were both from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he grew up. His parents were both immigrants that came through Ellis Island when they were very young and settled in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. And my dad was a pilot, and he used to fly to South America all the time, and that's where he met my mother in Ecuador.
Right,
and little did she know that she was going to give birth to this blonde hellion of a child, which was me.
Right, and you never, you did things that I did some little things that I would never have done with you. What was it in your mind that you just thought, okay, I can just do it, doesn't matter, I'll be all right?
Oh, Anita, and I'm still that way today. My daughter Jessica's 28, my daughter Angela's 26, and they're the parents to me. They're the ones that are always telling me, don't do that, Mom, or this is not appropriate. But to answer your question, what was it that made me? I just always had that little bit of rebellious streak in me. Nothing really too crazy other than maybe stealing a car now and then. But I just couldn't be held down. I just had too much energy. And that started from the time I could still remember pulling myself up in my crib and just jumping out of it because I couldn't be contained.
But you did have, it was your sister, wasn't it, who kind of...
My sister Monica?
Yes.
And what about her? What?
No, but your sister also became a part of your stuff.
Yes. Now, Monica did not write a book, but I will tell you, between you and me, since we're talking just between the two of us and the millions of people that are listening,
right.
that Monica was the mastermind behind a lot of our disobedient ways. And I was very lucky to have an older sister, she's 2 years older than me, who taught me how to skip school. And, I thought that her technique of taking a glass of water into the bathroom, making throwing up noises while pouring the water into the toilet was just brilliant. Would you have thought of that?
No, never. No, that...
And remember the days when we used to have regular telephones, not cell phones, that had a well-defined earpiece and mouthpiece?
Of course.
Well, my sister Monica used to she'd unscrew the part that you would talk into, so that when the school would call my mother to say that her daughter was missing,
right.
My mother would talk into the phone, and the person on the other end of the line couldn't hear, and my mom would slam down the phone, Dios mío, stupid phone. Oh, my gosh.
Well, and so this book was probably a long time coming, wasn't it? What made you say, okay, I got to write all about this, because nobody would believe it, right?
Right. Well, you know how it is when you get together and your family Thanksgivings and your family holidays, and you all sit around the table and you tell the same family stories over and over. And, the stories that we would tell to my daughters were so horrified, because my mother would say, remember the time you got caught smoking? Remember the time you and Susan stole Aunt Blanca's car? Remember? And my daughters, who would just be horrified, would say, Mom, we never heard that one. What? Tell us another one. So I started writing the stories down, and I was having so much fun writing them down and just sharing them with my best friend Susan, who's featured in the book, my cousin James, just sharing them with family and friends. And my husband finally convinced me. He said, you know what? These are so funny and they're so entertaining. Why don't you put them together in a book? And I said, really? And so that's what we did. And I'm so glad that I did, Anita, because I cannot tell you how many wonderful people like you and people in South Florida and really all over the world who are just enjoying the stories and laughing and the new friends that I've made. And, you know, it's lighthearted. I think that the world needs something that's fun and funny, and we can all relate to, you know, we've all got in trouble as kids, but not everybody decided to write about it in the book.
No, that's true. And usually I would think this would be boys. I don't know why. I don't mean to. It just doesn't seem like girls would be doing this, but you did it. And
yeah,
you know, one thing
that
a lot, oh, that's right. But a lot of people wouldn't even remember the store, the McCrory's. I remember McCrory's so well, the 5 and 10 cent store. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And of course,
wasn't that a fun store?
Well, it was because it had all those little doodads, and they were right out there, and you could just pick one up if you wanted and hope you got away with it.
Did you shoplift McCrory's? You don't have to tell anybody.
But downtown Miami, there was a place, downtown Miami. It was 5 and 10 cent store, and it was Kresge, maybe Kresge. That used to be a name. And I remember picking something up, and I usually, and I put it in my purse, and I walked out, and I said, oh, I can't do that. And I walked back, and I put it back. I just was too nervous. I just couldn't do it. But it was very tempting because, you know, it just the things you wanted you couldn't get. You didn't have the money for it. And but you did a lot more. I mean, that was just one little thing. But I think that you did some big things, you know, with cars and all, and smoking. And I didn't do a lot of that. I guess because, see, I didn't have what you had. You had accomplices. I didn't. I was alone.
Yes. Well, you know that story about me getting caught smoking cigarettes. My mother just found out about that story when the book came out. And
oh, really?
She laughed so hard. And, you know, now she laughs at it. Back then she wouldn't have laughed. And I think you remember what happened in the story. I did that by myself. I got a pack of cigarettes that I think I stole out of my best friend Susan's mother's cupboard where she kept these cartons of cigarettes. And took them down to a tree in Miami Springs. It was one of these big old ficus trees, and climbed the tree. And I did that by myself. And a little boy spying on me, and he followed me home and threatened to tell my mother. And that didn't work out so well for him, but you'll have to read the book.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to tell anybody about that. But let me just tell everybody again. The author we're talking with, this wonderful woman, is Jennifer Evans Kochalka. And the book she wrote is called Grand Theft, Auto, and Other Misdemeanors, Mischief, Mishaps, and Mayhem in Miami Springs and Hialeah. For those of you who are here in South Florida, those are places that today are very large areas. But at the time that we're talking about, they were just small little communities. You know, they didn't have a lot of people there. But it's a beautiful blonde looking out at me at the we made her a publisher's choice in Boomer Times, and we were very happy to have her. It was the September issue, and I just have to say that the cover, I don't know who did your cover, but it's adorable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my husband and I did that together. Well, we worked with a designer but I came up with that photograph of well, you have to see it. It's a red car with a sunroof, and there are two kids that are wearing jeans and tennis shoes. The feet are sticking out the top of the sunroof in the photo. And it's a little bit unclear what's going on inside that car. When you look at the cover, you know, are the kids kissing? Are they smoking cigarettes? They're getting into some kind of trouble. That's clear.
Mischief of all things.
covers are tough. Book covers are tough because whoever says you can't tell a book by its cover is wrong. And I called a good friend of mine who is a graphic artist because I was so stumped. And I said, this is what the book's about. I stole a car when I was a kid is one of the stories. Just give me 2 ideas for a book cover. And that was one of those ideas that he came up with, my good friend Derek Rougeau, who is a graphic artist, among other things.
Well, one reason I loved the book is maybe it was because I was that age, and I remember thinking about a lot of these things, but a couple of things that really, really impressed me. One of the things was banana splits. You know, back then, that was like the biggest treat of all, and I know my mother was a working mother, and she'd come home late, and we'd have our dinner, and then she'd say, would you like to go and share a banana split? And that was like the most wonderful thing we could ever do.
Ooh, that does sound good. Yes, and in my story, my sister and I got to visit Ecuador every summer, really, because my mother's from Ecuador. And we stayed in a lot of hotels, and we got into ordering room service. Well, we stayed in hotels because my dad was a pilot, and he had what they call a per diem, which allowed him to pay for the hotel room. So Monica and I would always order room service because we were bored. And in Ecuador, they had never heard of a banana split. So we decided we're going to order a banana split. But how do you say that in Spanish? We didn't know. So we knew that banana in Spanish was guineo, and then split was partido. So we called room service, and our little squeaky voices said, dos guineo partidos, por favor.
Yeah.
And they said, what? And my father got on the phone and tried to explain what it was that the little American girls wanted. And so the room service people, bless their hearts, they did the best job that they could, but their version of a banana split in Ecuador is not quite what it was at McCrory's 5 and Dime at the soda counter.
Well, you know, that's true. And I don't think I ever order a banana split now, and I'm sure I could, but I don't even know if they're on the menu anywhere. But I do that at home sometimes. You know, I do take a banana because we know that the fruit of a banana is very good. And if you put sugar, you know, the ice cream with it, it really makes it healthier than not having any of that. So it's a very good idea.
We're
but
looking for healthy now?
Oh, yeah, well, healthy, that's not when we were doing stuff. But, you know, it's funny. A couple of things. I just have to tell you these things because you just put so much into my brain when I read your book. Wait, before I forget that, I want to tell you, I love how your mother called you Jennifer. It's Yennyfair. I kept saying that because, of course, she was, you know, Spanish, and that's how she pronounced Jennifer. I'm surprised she even named you that.
Yes. She just likes that name. I'm not really sure where she got it, but oh my gosh, Anita, as a kid, I was so embarrassed because of the way my mother spoke. And she would call us in for dinner, you know, late at night when we were out there playing and raising heck in the middle of the streets playing box ball in Hialeah, and all of a sudden, my mother would be out there saying, Jennifer, Monica, dinner is ready. And I was so embarrassed.
Isn't that funny? That's great. Well, I love that. Well, wait, I tell you the other one, pierced ears. I just have to share this. I was really a very good girl. I didn't do the things you did. I may have thought of them, but I didn't. But I wanted pierced ears so badly, and my mother forbade it. No, you're not going to have it. It's all those gypsy girls, you're not having that. And I just did something I never would have done. I went to the doctor and told him I wanted my ears pierced without my mother's permission. And
you did?
Oh, I did. I really did. That was big for me. So your chapter, I'm reading pierced ears. Oh my gosh, I have to read that. But your mother wanted you to have them.
Yes, because in the Latin culture,
right,
which a lot of South Floridians are in the Latin culture, that's completely normal. The babies have pierced ears. They're pretty much born with pierced ears if you're Latin American. So did the doctor that you went to, did the doctor pierce your ears?
He did. And I don't know. I guess I was 13. And I don't know why he did it without, I have no idea, but I do remember going to a doctor to have it done. So I'm not sure why he did it without talking to my mother when I came home. Right. And I do remember having to take, the Vaseline or whatever it was and keep moving it around so it wouldn't stick. Oh, yeah. I
Right.
love that chapter.
So how old were you? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was about 13.
Okay, and they did it. Okay, times have changed.
Yeah, I know
So
because
nowadays, I don't think they would do that.
I know. I mean, and I don't remember who the doctor was or anything, but I was smart enough at least to go and have it done properly.
Do you know that my daughter Angela, she got a tattoo before she was old enough to get one? How old do you have to be to get a tattoo?
I don't know. That's very funny. I don't know. There's an age limitation.
She was, I think she was about, I don't know. I don't think she was even, she was probably 17. And she did it behind my back, Anita.
See?
I don't know who she got to
See?
do this for her.
That's right.
And
But
she was so nervous to tell me because she knew I was going to eventually see it.
wait a minute. Where was it? Where was it?
It's on her foot. It's on the arch of her foot.
Oh,
And it's very nice. And she's 26 now, and she still hasn't regretted it. I swear to God, I thought she was going to tell me she was pregnant when she broke the news to me.
oh my God.
And
Oh.
I was just relieved. I was like, "Oh, is that all?"
Well, you see, we're talking about with this author who is just such a delight, and you're going to love the book because this is what the book is. If you're enjoying this interview, you will feel the same way about the book. I mean, they're short chapters, and they're the names. Some of them are just crazy. One's Gears Up, Flaps Up. One is 7 Stitches. Another one is Ain't Too Proud to Beg. Another one is Don't Tease the Monkey. Oh, that was a good one. I mean, lots and lots of chapters. And it is such a fun book. It's the kind of thing you want to take to the beach or somewhere and just get lost in this and then think about the things that you did that maybe you never told anyone. So this is Jennifer Evans Kochalka, and you can order the book by going to Amazon.com and just putting in Grand Theft Auto and Other Misdemeanors. So was it hard for you to think of the name?
It was, because I'm not good at titles, but my husband, Kerry, looked through the book and he said, that story, Grand Theft Auto, that's so catchy. So I said, okay, that's a great title. And then it was a collection of stories. And you know how you see books that say, they'll give the title and it'll say, and other stories, and other this, and other whatever.
Right.
And I'm trying to remember how we came up with and other misdemeanors because, well, even though Grand Theft Auto is technically a felony, we'll keep that between us. Yeah, and I just thought of, misdemeanors, that's just so perfect. Grand Theft Auto and Other Misdemeanors. It's a little bit of a opposite because Grand Theft Auto is a felony, but all the other things that I did were misdemeanors, Anita.
Right. And then it's cute how you have the 3 M's, mischief, mishaps, and mayhem in Miami Springs and Hialeah. And it really could have been anywhere. I'm sure our readers, our listeners, they could put any other city, any other little town that they were in, because this happened everywhere. You were just being very open about it, and a lot of people wouldn't have done that.
But you know what I love about the book is just remembering what it was like growing up in the Miami area.
Mm-hmm.
Hialeah was way different back in the 60s and 70s. And It was a small town. And Miami Springs has really not changed that much at all, but it was a unique place to grow up. We went outside and caught tadpoles and just played and fished in the canals. And every time I think about growing up in South Florida, I think about how lucky I was because the weather was so good. You'd just wake up in the morning and throw the covers aside and just run outside and play. And you can't really do that in places where it snows all the time. Or at least it didn't snow in South Florida.
Right, but so you wound up in California anyway. I guess you just like that kind of weather.
Right.
Well, I want you
Yes,
to,
I've been very lucky.
when you talk about Hialeah, of course, and I think you said this in the book, the only thing I really remember years ago about Hialeah was the Hialeah racetrack. I mean, there were
Yes,
some big events that happened there, but that was the exciting part about Hialeah.
yes, we were lucky enough to live 1 block from Hialeah Racetrack.
No.
Yeah, and I still remember laying in my twin bed with a comic book and a Heath candy bar and reading Richie Rich comics and laying there in bed and just hearing the announcer and the excitement of the crowd, and they're off, and the trumpets blaring and the crowd going wild. And it was a fun area to grow up in. It was a lot different than it is today, but I still love Hialeah because every time I'm in town, I get to have a good Cuban meal there.
Yep.
A great Cuban meal.
Right. Right. Now you grow up and you're Catholic, and that was the funny part about this. Here you are, supposed to be a nice Catholic girl doing things, and I would never have thought that's what a little Catholic girl, because you had to go to the priest and confess. Did you do that?
Well, wasn't that the best part of being Catholic? That's what we found out, is that you could sin all you wanted just as long as you were willing to step into that confessional and, and confess.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was actually one of the funniest stories in the book, was the story about that confessional. You know, Anita, it was creepy to me as a little kid walking into that claustrophobic box and having to tell all the secrets to really a stranger who I'm sure was taking notes for a book of his own.
Oh, my.
But it was a pretty good deal, because I finally realized, hey, I can do anything I want just as long as I go in here and confess my sins.
Now that's really funny.
And I don't know about you, but you may have met a few Catholic girls and boys that have become a little bit rebellious in their older ages.
I married a Catholic boy, but he's after having some mishaps as an altar boy, he gave up Catholicism.
Okay.
So he's not Catholic, but he still tells me lots of the stories that happened, about, I don't mean these weren't bad, but just, they had to be so perfect and there's so many little things and all. And that's not who he was. Little Billy would not do those things. So he gave it up.
Yeah, my sister, Monica, went to Catholic school 1st through 6th grade, and I went 1st through 4th. And I think it was a great experience, because you do get a wonderful education.
Right.
But I do think that a lot of those Catholic kids that I went to school with turned out to be pretty rebellious, just kind of rebelling against the rules.
Right. I think so. Yeah, I think that does happen when you are held so tight. But let's talk about the chapter Strip Poker now.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you can leave out some parts, but Strip Poker, that was really cute.
Oh. So tell me what you liked about the story.
Well, it was kind of like you're not knowing what you're really going. First of all, you needed to get cards, and you didn't even know where you're going to get the playing cards from. And
right.
did you know what Strip Poker meant before you played?
Well, by that time, I already had my first kiss under my belt, because my best friend, Susan, who was a little bit of now that I look back on it, kind of a Lolita, this beautiful, long, dark auburn hair and these twinkling green eyes. And she was a little bit of a mastermind, and she was a bit boy crazy, and we were only 12. And she said, hey, Jennifer, one day she said, there's a bunch of kids that are making out and smoking cigarettes underneath Ricky's house down the street. Let's go. And oh my gosh, Anita, I was terrified. I didn't want to go.
Right.
But I didn't want to wimp. So I went, and that story is also in the book. And it talks about the first boy that I kissed, who was a little bit of a Napoleon Dynamite look-alike, if you've ever seen that movie. Let's just say he was a little dorky. So, that worked out okay, even though I was so, my palms were sweaty and I was nervous, and I kissed this boy. And then the word on the street was that Susan and I were, how shall we put it, easy.
Oh, really?
And we got a call from Ricky, the boy who I had kissed. We got a call the next week saying, "Hey, what are you girls doing? Do you want to come over and play strip poker?" So we went. Susan and I put on as much clothing as we could find. And
rascals.
The hot Florida sun, here we are walking down the block to Ricky's house in winter coats and gloves. And oh, my gosh. But I have to say, by that point, since I had already had a little experience in the sexual department with my first kiss under my belt, I was excited.
Right.
And we made it down to, our teen form bras and our white underwear.
And it was cute how you talked about Ricky in his the Fruit of the Loom tidy whities.
Oh my gosh, I still have that visual in my head of, pimply, pale. Bless his heart.
I just want people to buy your book because it is fun. I mean, we're having a lot of fun talking about it, but I just have to say you will enjoy this book a lot. And Jennifer, it was just wonderful talking with you. And I have a big smile on my face, and I know people who read it will. And thank you so much. And now when our 8-year-old triplet grandchildren in Miami do these kinds of things, I'll remember your book and I'll say, well, it wasn't so bad. She turned out pretty good after all.
Don't let them read it.
Oh, I won't. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Anita. This has been such a pleasure.
It has been for me. Yeah, it was great. All right, thank you.
And I do have a website, so if anybody wants to contact me, I love meeting new people. And just go to jenniferevans.me.
Okay, the .me? Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, so much.
Thank you so much,
right.
Anita. Have a wonderful day.
You too, kiddo. Bye.